Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and I'd like to welcome you to the Daily Compliance News. The Daily Compliance News is an offering of the Compliance Podcast Network. January 21, 2019, the MLK edition. First up, from the New York Times, Carlos Ghosn, the embattled global auto executive who has spent the last 2 months in jail in Japan, is finally offering to post a higher bail amount and personally pay for an apartment in Tokyo along with private security guards to try to entice the Japanese prosecutors to grant him bail. He has been in prison now for over 2 months, and obviously he's ready to get out. Next up, a story from the BBC that the new president of Brazil, President Jair Bolsonaro, is being questioned about his commitment to fighting bribery and corruption as questions mount about irregular payments his inner circle received literally just after they came into the presidency. He has denied that over $300,000 changed hands, which came to light. So once again, the specter of bribery and corruption haunts the Brazilian political class. Next up, from the Wall Street Journal again, from the New York Times again, rather, we have the story about, it appears now Trump was negotiating for the Trump Tower in Moscow through the 2016 election. This is really separate and apart from the claims and counterclaims that have been floating in the press that Trump ordered Michael Cohen to lie in front of Congress. But it appears now from the New York Times perspective that Trump was negotiating during this time. Obviously, this would have significant political concerns and implications, but also perhaps FCPA concerns if it turns out that Vladimir Putin was offered a benefit, or indeed any other Russian officials were offered a benefit. It may not impinge upon President Trump personally, but it would certainly negatively impact the Trump Towers the Trump organization going forward, as Michael Cohen was clearly their agent. And finally, from this weekend's Financial Times, if you don't read the Financial Times on the weekends, I suggest you should, because it has one of the best columns around, which is Lunch with the FT. This week we have Meg Whitman, former head of HP. It's a fascinating article about how she had to clean up HP after the Leo Apocalypse disaster, and certainly the autonomy merger disaster, which is still haunting the company, and where HP had to write off literally $8.8 billion of a $10.2 billion acquisition. It's a fascinating way to learn about high-profile individuals. The FT does it in a light, not necessarily a light and breezy manner, but certainly in a free-flowing manner that gives you the opportunity to really get a sense of the person. And, of course, I hear about the great lunch that they've had with the FT. Prices are included in the piece. This is Tom Fox. If you have any ideas for the Daily Compliance News, please feel free to email me at tfox@tfoxlaw.com. I'd love to hear from you. This is Tom Fox. I'm the Compliance Evangelist. As you may know, we've had several new offerings on the Compliance Podcast Network. One of those includes Popcorn and Compliance, where Jay Rosen and I take a look at compliance through the lens of movies, both current, contemporary movies, and classic movies. Also premiering in December. And finally, Mary Shirley and Lisa Fine have premiered their new podcast, Great Women on Compliance. I hope you will check that out. It's a great podcast series. We have several other offerings that we are in production and will go live after the first of the year on the Compliance Podcast Network.